Hi guys, it's Kelly. I'm here again to do another free writing class for you guys. And today we're going to talk about finding an agent. This was something that definitely was very stressful for me when I was going through it. And I can't wait to talk to you about my journey and answer all your questions. I have a lot of questions from you guys. But before we start, a couple of things. First of all, starting next week, I'm going to move this class to Wednesdays at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time, just because I have a new book coming out in May, Parachutes, and I'm going to be really busy with a lot of promotional stuff for Parachutes. So I'm only doing it once a week, but you're still going to have once a week classes with me at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you can join. If you can't join, don't worry. All the classes are archived on my website, kellyyang.com. And the great thing is from now on, every class is going to have me, and it's going to have another author joining me. So you'll get to have two authors talking to you guys about writing, and I can't wait. It makes it a lot more fun for me. And speaking of another author, we're so lucky that I asked my friend Stacy to come on the show again. You guys remember Stacy McAnulty from a few classes ago. She wrote Lightning Girl, The Miscalculations of Lightning Girl, as well as The World Ends in April, and now we officially, are still around, so the world has not ended in April. She's going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about how to find an agent. So I see Stacy is on. I'm going to see if she can come on right now. Hey, Stacy, are you there? I think she's trying to get on. Okay, so hopefully, hey!
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Good to see you on Friday. Today's Friday, right?
Yes. I double checked this morning. It is.
Awesome. Okay, so we got a lot of questions to go through. So let's just go through them, okay? The
Yes.
first question is, do I need an agent? Do you want to go with that one?
I think an agent is worth it. There's some publishers that you cannot go to without an agent, and a good agent is going to make money back for you. So they're going to get you more money. And so they're 15%, which they usually earn. They've made that money. They've earned that money and gotten you even more.
Yeah. And the reason why we say that they've earned that money is because whatever deal we can get as an author, we think that they can get us a way bigger deal. I mean, I know from my experience, like my agent has instinct and intuition and just experience that I don't have, and I can never get that because I'm one person, sitting at my computer writing these stories. And so she will be able to tell me, hey, I think this book could go to auction, or I think this book could be interesting for this editor and this editor and this editor and this editor.
They
and
have
so
the connections, yeah.
Yeah, they have the connections.
They know what editors like, different styles, different stories, what they're hungry for. Who's going to be the good editor.
Yes, they have the relationships. I don't live in New York City, and for a long time, I was actually living in Hong Kong. So this is the answer to another question. Can you get an agent that's not in your country? Absolutely, because that's what I did. I was living in Hong Kong for 15 years, and I did not have an agent. Actually, I had an agent at one point who was in Hong Kong because I thought it'd be fun to go to coffee with my agent all the time. Which turned out to be less important than your agent having the connections and experience. And so I love that my agent is in New York City. She's extremely experienced. She has the contacts, and she knows enough about the industry to know what to do with my books. So we think it is essential, right? Agreed? We think it's essential to have an agent.
If you're going to be a career author, an agent is essential. I definitely agree.
Absolutely. And they will make back the 15% like times like 10 for you. Okay. Next question. How do I get an agent?
Do you want me to go again? Sorry.
Okay. I'll do this one. So the best way to get an agent is to query them. And there are a lot of websites devoted to I think it's like, what is it? Querytracker.com or something. There's like
it might be .net. I'm not sure, but Query
something like that. Query Tracker. There's also Publisher Marketplace, which will list a lot of agents' recent deals. So this comes back to like, how do I know which agent to approach? And this is another question that we have. But one of the best things to do is to research your favorite books. And if you like a book, turn to the back of the book and it'll literally say, usually it'll say in the acknowledgments, I hope it does anyway. I'm like, thank you, agent.
If it doesn't, you probably don't want that agent anyway.
Yeah, like they're like the first people we thank because they're the people who made this all happen for us.
And
they're
they've
like,
been there the whole time.
They're like more important to us than our spouse. I mean, I hope my spouse is not watching this, but they are so important to us. And so every book that you love, if you flip to the back, you will find the agent's name. And that's how I started thinking about Tina, my agent, is because she is the agent for Orphan Island, which my son loves Orphan Island. Laurel Snyder. And I think that that's her. She's also repped by Tina. And so when I read Orphan Island and I flipped to the back and I was like, oh, thank you, Tina, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, interesting. So that's how she got onto my radar. But so after you have your list of agents, which you should research because you want to make sure that they are actually representing the kind of books that you're writing. Like if they're an adult agent and they have nothing to do with kid stuff and you want to write kid stuff, there's just no sense giving it to them because that's not their world, right? And vice versa. So make sure you research and then you query them. Do you want to explain what querying is?
Gosh, I haven't queried in such a long time. I think it was 7 years. But query, it's an email. And it's you're trying to establish a relationship. You're telling them that what you have available. So you're going to query with a piece of work, a completed piece of work. So
that's important. You have to query with a completed piece of work unless you're writing nonfiction, in which case I think you can just get away with a proposal, right?
Generally, that is true. But if you are brand new, like no publishing credits, even with your nonfiction in the children's market, you may have to have it completed. I mean, that one can go either way. Definitely in the adult world, you can just have the proposal. But if you're brand new, that's a lot of risk. But so even if you're a picture book writer, your picture book's done. If you're a novelist, your novel
Your whole novel's got to be done.
Right.
You cannot query with an idea. I think I did that once. People were like, get lost.
No, it's got to be done and polished and as good as you can make it.
As good as you can make it. So that's the other thing is don't do this too early because if you do it too early and you jump the gun and it's not great, then you've wasted, a contact there. You potentially wasted it. So it's really important to do it when it's all shiny and ready to go and you've exhausted all your beta readers, which are people who are willing to read this for you for free. They're usually like your friends. And they'll tell you everything that they can think of is, could make it better. And if you've done all of that and you cannot think of a single thing more to do to make your book better, and you've sat with it, which is the other important thing, is you should really sit with a manuscript for at least, what would you say, like at least a week, right?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say months or years. I'm like, a week is nothing.
At least a week, yeah. I usually sit with it for like a week. And then if you still feel like there's nothing in the world you can do to make it better, fine. Then you can query.
You're ready to go.
You're ready to go. And the reason why it's so hard to get, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the query thing. It's an email. What do you need in this email?
So for mine, I know everybody's got different ways of doing this, but I tell you how I did mine. My first paragraph was why I wanted that agent. So I started with flattery. I'm like, you represent this book and this book, which I love. So I think we would be a good fit. And then the pitch of my book, then a little bio about me, and then whatever they're asking for. So you've made this list of agents you want to go to. You're going to go to every website for those agents. You're going to see exactly what they want. If it's a picture book, they might want the whole thing. If it's a novel, they might want 10. They might want 20 pages. They might want 3 chapters. Don't break the rules. Whatever they say, you give them exactly that. It's simple. It's like a job interview. If they're asking for a 1-page resume, you're not going to send 3 because they're not going to even look at it. Don't break the rules at this point.
That's why I invited Stacy on the show because I knew she was like a scientist about it. I just knew that about you. Okay, it's important to get their name right. It's important to get where they work right? Because we might be sending out a lot of these. And I mean, generally, how many would you say people should send out in one batch?
Oh, I guess everybody's kind of different. I definitely did the batch thing somewhere.
Okay, fine. I think you cut out for a second there. I don't know if people can still hear me. I think that you should do probably like 10 in a batch. And then I would wait. Sorry, you cut out for a second there. What were you going to say?
I got a phone call was coming in. So okay. I don't know what happened. I apologize.
Okay, so how many would you put in a batch?
My batch is between 5 and 10.
Okay, yes, I said about 10. Um, just so that you know, just so that you have an idea. And if everybody comes back with some sort of feedback, like, this is not an appropriate topic, for example, or like the age of the protagonist is too old, or some sort of feedback that you know what to do with, then you might consider revising. But I would still send out to a couple of batches before you really start making serious changes to your manuscript. Would you say that's about right?
Right. And so you're going to get different feedback. And sometimes you're going to get canned feedback where it just says, I didn't connect with the characters. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with your characters. That just might be a paragraph that they copy paste. But it does happen. They get, I was talking to my agent one time, I think like over the year can get close between 5 and 10,000 queries.
Oh my God.
Is what they're getting. There was 2 of them working this, but they get that many. So sometimes it's just not the right fit for them. And they want to give you something so that it's going to be very general. And it's not a critique. They can't spend the time to critique 5 to 10,000.
That's true. So so if you don't get personalized feedback, don't feel bad. Don't take it personally. That is just, somebody very quickly writing you so that so you have a verdict versus you're just sitting there waiting. Okay, so we've ticked off how do I get an agent, and then what do agents look for in a writer? And I think that when I get this kind of question, sometimes I think what people are trying to ask is, does a writer need to have a platform already? What do you think about that?
Gosh, I think agents will have different answers to this. But if they're getting serious about you, I promise you they're going to Google you. It's like a job interview again, right? They're going to make sure that you're not out there saying anything too stupid or causing too many problems. Some really like to see a platform. Some are like, we can build it because it's going to take, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years before your book's coming out. We have time to work on that. So I don't think it's a make or break if you have 100,000 Instagram followers. That's going to help, but it's not, I don't think it's going to break anybody.
I've only heard that only makes a real difference in the adult nonfiction world. In fact, I think that in order to do adult nonfiction, I could be wrong, but like what I've heard is that in order to do adult nonfiction now, you have to have that platform because it'll be just hard to prove that you're an expert on that subject.
Right. And I think that's actually part of like a nonfiction adult proposal where they say, I'm this doctor and I go to this many conferences and I have this. So exactly. You're definitely right on that. It's a big part. But for our world, it's not as important. Again, you're going to want to have all that by the time the book comes out.
Yeah. So another question that I think just came up was, with that kind of volume, how good does that first line have to be? I mean, I think my first line was just hello. So I don't think you have to obsess over it. But I do think that it is important to quickly drill down your book in one succinct sentence. I think that was the hardest part for me, was how do you convey your whole book in a tagline, basically. Like in the movies, we would say a tagline, which is just a line which really quickly gets the point across. And for Front Desk, it was like, hey, I'm trying to query a book about a girl who runs the motel in California while her parents, she runs the front desk of a motel while her parents clean the rooms. That was it. And for me, it was really quick to get an agent. But this comes down to what do you look for in an agent? Because I did have to switch agents. So what are things that you now look for in an agent? I mean, we already have agents, so we're not looking. But what are the important things that people should be looking for?
Well, that the agent is selling stuff. That would be number one. I may have heard the term smagent. There's no degree that you need to get into agenting. There's no license, so people could just set up shop. You should be able to see sales.
And there have been some wild cases in our industry, right? Like
not too long
ago there was an agent who was like, was she like making up deals or something, or there was some sort of crazy situation happening,
criminal
in our industry. And it's insane, guys. I mean, we're children's book authors. Like, this should not be happening in our industry, like of all industries, maybe like investment banking or something, but not Kidlit. Come on. So it's important to see those real verifiable book sales records, which you can find on publishermarketplace.com. And would you say that it's even worth getting a membership for Publishers Marketplace?
So you can get the weekly emails for free, which will give you the most recent what is that called? Now I'm blanking. The Publishers Weekly, the kids.
The lunch, I think. Is it the
Not the
Publishers
lunch one, the Tuesday,
Yeah.
Thursday.
Oh, it's the Publishers Weekly email, which you can sign up for deals for like middle grade and YA and picture book deals. Yes, we recommend that you get that.
And I've signed up and I've had that forever. So if I want to look up, I'm not looking up again an agent, but if I want to look up an editor, I've got all those saved in my Gmail. So I can just scan for somebody's name. But I've got that for
really
years now.
Smart idea. So sign up early for that. That's a really smart idea.
So I don't subscribe. I don't pay for that. You can, and I know people have done it. If you know in May I am going to go out to 50 to 100 agents, it might be worth getting that, spending $25 that month.
Okay, so say that you have a bunch of offers. How do you decide on your offers?
You want me to go?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I would ask to speak to clients, perhaps. A lot of agents I know I've done that for my agent. I've talked to potential clients, so I don't think that's out of I mean, not sneakily, not like go behind, but ask, can I talk to one of yours? And of course, talk to the agent. Yeah. You must talk to the agent and see how they, how he or she, or they go out with a book. Are they going to go wide? Or are they going to go very targeted? Everyone's kind of different. So conversation with the agent and conversation with the clients is a good place to start.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another question. What are the most common mistakes when seeking an agent? I think the most common mistake that people make is not enough research into what they actually represent, because I found that it's really important to have an agent whose tastes align with yours. Like if they're not representing the kind of books that you like to write, chances are eventually you're going to hit some sort of a roadblock, or something's going to happen where it's like, you're not seeing this, you don't really like my writing, do you? Kind of thing. And we don't want to have those awkward conversations. Right. So it's really important that, it's like dating. It really is.
It's a long-term, intimate relationship.
It is a long relationship. I mean, I probably talk to Tina now more than I talk to my husband. Because my husband is not, he's like working, he's on the other side of the world right now. So I don't really talk to him as much as I talk to my agent, which is so sad. But that personality has to click with yours. And that's the other thing I found is like, you have to know your personality. I'm like a really type A personality. I really want, I'm a hard worker. I hustle my butt off for my stuff, but I really want someone who's working with me to be like similarly, driven or whatever, to be that kind of personality type. And so for me, like response time is really important. Are you going to actually read my stuff? Like all that stuff is really, really important. And you can ask those questions again, when you talk to people who are repped by the agent.
Yes. And some agents are going to be more editorial than others. And some people like that. Some people want their stuff to be edited and polished. And some just want to hand it over. And the agent is
more like a salesperson
or something, or like a salesperson.
Like more of a salesperson, exactly.
Yeah, and so there's different ideas there, and you can have those conversations. And and if you're new, you might not know what's going to work for you. So be honest about.
And you can actually, I've now had 3 different agents. I had an agent when I was living in Hong Kong, because again, I thought it'd be fun to have coffee with her all the time, which ended up never happening. Like literally, I think I had coffee with her like twice. But then I realized that because my stuff was getting published in America, in New York City, it'd be really important to find someone in New York City. So then I had an agent, the agent who represented Front Desk when it, came out, is a guy named Alex Slater at Trident, and he was my agent. And then I decided that, I really want to work with Tina. So I went and queried her, and she represents all my books now, Parachutes and 3 Keys, and just like pretty much represents my whole life. Like she's like in charge of all things Kelly. And I love that. And I'm so comforted that she's a woman. She's a total go-getter. Like I love like her kindness and her empathy and her spirit and the passion that she puts into every manuscript. You can just like, literally she works her butt off for all her authors. And I love that so much. But it's a personality mix, and you can get a divorce. It's okay. Like if it doesn't work out, you can try again. You can date again. It's okay.
Yes. It's not easy, and it's
not
hard.
Easy. It can be a little traumatizing.
Yeah, anybody who's like left a job or broken up in a relationship, there's a lot of those same feelings. But people do change. It is a commitment, but it doesn't have to be for life. So don't feel like if you go one way that you're stuck. You can absolutely change.
Absolutely. Question is, how much do we pay an agent? So you do not pay an agent at all until you get a book deal. And this is really important because for that reason, agents can't take on too many people. They are literally working for free, you know, in the hopes that when something sells, then they get paid. And then they get 15, I think it's 15% of everything that we make, right?
Basically, and then it gets a little confusing sometimes with foreign rights because they share sub rights and things. So things can get breakdown, but just in general, it's 15%
of our advance, of our royalties, of if we have a film sale, if we have a foreign sale. I think the percentages might be a little bit different for film and foreign, but generally 15%. Well worth the money, I think. Absolutely essential, like total bargain if you think about it.
And do not, if someone asks for money up front, no.
Like this happened to me. Like the one of the agent that I was working with in Hong Kong, you know, she did suggest that I work with a outside editor on my book, which I would have to pay, or maybe she would like pay some of it with me. I don't remember how it worked. But what is your suggestion with regards to outside editors? Is there like a word for them, or are they freelance editors, right?
Yeah, freelance editors. I use a freelance editor, someone I've used for years, but it's not through my agent at all. It's just something like I do know agents might say that. They say maybe, you know, I would look at this project again if you polished it with someone. But I don't think it should be like tied together. Like you have to go to my friend Barbara over here.
You have to go to my friend Barbara.
And then I will look at it again. No, that's not true.
Right, because that doesn't sound right? Like it should be like,
that sounds like a scheme.
Yeah, that sounds like maybe a scheme. I think it should be more like, look, you know, your manuscript is almost ready, but I don't have the time to polish it. You can polish it by yourself. You can polish it with a friend, or you can polish it with a freelance agent, or sorry, a freelance editor. And how much do they generally charge freelance editors?
It can be all over the place. For a full novel, I've paid from $1,500 to $3,000, and I talked to one that was $8,000. I mean, she's, oh my God! Like, if I gave you her name, you'd know who she was. And she's got like a wait list. She's awesome. Oh my God. So it just depends on how much you want to invest. In yourself. And there's still no guarantee.
I have not. Okay, so full disclosure, I have not used a freelance editor on my manuscripts. So except for, I think I did use it for the one that I was writing with the woman in Hong Kong. It was a memoir which never went anywhere. But other than that, you know, you do not need to pay that kind of money. That's what I'm trying to say. You do not need to. You can if you want to. I have had that, you know, I've had cases where I've heard like it doesn't really help. You know, it just depends. I don't know if it helps or doesn't help. It depends on the person. But again, there are a lot of people out there trying to make that kind of money, and so you really have to do your research. Another question we had is, do you need an agent if you're self-publishing? No, because you can do it yourself, right? The whole point is that when you self-publish it, you get to keep all the money. And so an agent really can't do very much for you, because an agent serves as a matchmaker between you and the publisher. And if the publisher is yourself, then there's no point in having that matchmaker. You're just matching yourself with yourself.
I have heard some agencies do offer like a hybrid where they kind of do some of the editing, and they help you get like some of the self-publishing things. And again, there's been some pushback on that. Like, is that unsavory? You know, should people be doing that? So it's more, then they're acting more like an editor. Than an agent. So there's this like weird hybrid thing. I have never done it, so I can't speak to it, but I know that some have tried hybrid. But if you're going to go traditional self-publishing, where you're going to have it printed and you're selling it at book festivals or something, you don't need an agent, but I would highly recommend that you get that book edited.
So that's where you could actually, if you're self-publishing, that's where you could use that freelance editor. I mean, I have worked with one on, like, let's say, you know, again, that memoir that I decided not to do anything with because I wanted to write fiction instead. But I did learn a lot through that process. So, you know, I think it was worth it. You know, I learned a lot about writing. I never really formally learned writing in college, and I went to law school, so I didn't really learn it. So, you know, it was worth it, I think. So, I mean, that's something that you can consider if you're going to self-publish, because again, you won't have that traditional publisher-editor relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay, another question is, how do you get beta readers?
Oh, that's a good one. I write picture books and novels, and it's very easy to get picture book beta readers. I'm in a group for that. For the novel, it's harder because I believe that you need the whole novel read.
Yeah.
And I know some people will join groups and you do like a chapter a month, and that's just not gonna work.
That's not the way we read, right? It's just not.
It's not going to get you to your publishing dream
anytime
quickly. And that's why I use the person I pay. I've taken classes with her, and she turns things around in like 2 weeks. Then you can find
you don't have any beta readers. So you don't have any beta readers. You don't have any beta readers aside from the person that you sometimes use to edit.
Correct. And my family. I've got kids, teenagers,
there
and
you
I
go.
use that. Yeah.
I am the same. I don't have any beta readers. I occasionally let my kids read it, but now my kids are so moody that they will say, I don't like it, just if they're mad at me, like it has nothing to do with the manuscript. And I'll be like, oh, you know, so I don't want to take that kind of risk anymore. So I pretty much write stuff and send it to my agent now. I don't use beta readers anymore. And the part of it is just because, like, how do you know if they have the expertise to critique it? You know, like editors have credentials. They've been an editor, you know, hopefully at a big house or something. And so they have proven themselves as someone who has that expertise. But like, if you're just asking friends, it can be risky. They might say stuff that, you know, you don't know if you agree with that comment or not, but then, you know, they might get into your head that way, and it could also sour the relationship between you and your friend. So I think be careful with beta readers. I know people who have them and they love them, and I'm always like, oh man, that sounds so nice. I just personally have never been able to find that group. If you're lucky and you can find that group of people that you really trust, you trust their taste, you trust their comments, then by all means, I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, another question. This one's for you, Stacy, because I don't have an LLC. Do you have to start an LLC, and what is an LLC?
So I am incorporated. I didn't
Stacy
do it.
Company.
I am. I'm McAnulty Media.
There you go.
All by my lonesome. I didn't do it till I was about 4 years into publishing. And I also started getting different streams of revenue. So I was getting paid by school visits and paid by publishers, some foreign rights. So I needed a place to put everything and take care of that. So absolutely not necessary in the beginning, in my opinion. It's something you can work towards.
And in fact, I think unless you're making X amount, which you have to check with your accountant, it is not beneficial to be an LLC. And I didn't do it just because it's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of filing, and it's just, it gets to be a lot. But the one advantage is that I think you can expense more business expenses through it, right?
I was always doing business expenses, but we do file taxes separately now for the business and for the home. And I do have people to do this. I can't do it on my own.
Yeah, but what would you say is the advantage of having an LLC?
The biggest advantage was controlling my income, because if you get a big book deal, you're going to get a lump sum of money at once, and that money's really got to last you a couple of years.
Right.
So we're able to pay me, McAnulty Media can pay Stacy over a couple of years and kind of keep my income more even and to do that.
But then the company still needs to pay corporate taxes, right?
Yes, we still do, of course, pay corporate taxes, but corporate taxes, if they just come to me, then you have to pay unemployment, both sides of unemployment and
there's like a
self-employment. But the corporation doesn't pay that until they pay me. So it just kind of spreads. Spreads it. Again, I've got a lady who does this. She's wonderful, and I would recommend her, but she's North Carolina based, so it's only going to work for us North Carolina authors, because you have to be, you need an accountant in your state. Right.
So I would not even think about it until you're really making, some serious money through your writing, and you have the time to fill out the paperwork, or get the accountant to fill out the paperwork. Okay, couple last questions. one question is, how do we get a book deal? And that's where the agent comes in. You know, you get the book deal by querying your work, getting an agent who wants to represent it, and then having that agent, you know, go and approach editors on your behalf and say, hey, Stacy, my client Stacy just wrote this fabulous new book. It's amazing. And would you like to read it? Would you be interested in making an offer? And then the agent, the editor will read it and will come back with an offer, or we'll come back with a revise and resubmit, or we'll come back and say, I pass. And then if enough editors want it, then you can go to auction. And even if you don't go to auction, as long as you have one editor that wants it.
All it takes is one yes.
All it takes is one yes, baby. I mean, Front Desk was rejected by every publisher except for one publisher, Scholastic. The amazing Cheryl Klein, who I love, took Front Desk under her wings and took a chance on it. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't the kind of book that people automatically thought was going to do well. It didn't have, like, you know, I don't know, vampires and whatever fun thing that kids are into. You know, it's about a girl managing a motel, right? And I mean, Parachutes had a lot of editors interested, but a lot of people wanted me to do one point of view, Claire's, instead of both point of view. And
I like Danny more.
I love Danny too. And I think Ben, my editor at Harper, Ben Rosenthal, was the only one who said, fine, we'll let you keep both girls because you obviously love both girls equally. So, so you just need one editor, you guys. You don't need like a gazillion. And so then that's when you get a book deal. As long as one editor says yes, you can get a book deal. That's it. Okay, another final question is, how much do authors make? And if a book sells well, is it easier to find a publisher? So the answer to the last question is absolutely. Absolutely. You know, publishers look at our work and they look at the track record. So it isn't just enough that you got the book deal. The book has to do well, or somebody's going to be like, well, you know, I'm not going to invest, or I'm not going to take a risk again. Right, Stacy? Would you say that?
Yeah, I think your track record does matter. You don't want a bomb on your hand, but you can still, if that does happen, I think you can get over it. And not every book's gonna sell great, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And not every book's gonna sell great. I think the average number is like 10,000 copies per book in the life of the book. And obviously some books, you know, just completely break through and, you know, they sell like 1 million copies.
Yes.
But most books are sort of under that or around there. So, you know, that's sort of the number that I've been told is what publishers think that a book is going to sell. But they do look at our record. So we are very nervous, especially right now, like me and Stacy, we have books coming out. Yes. Please go and support our books. Do you have yours?
I didn't bring the one that's coming out. Here's some books. If you want
okay. So yeah, we do get nervous because even if we have a good book deal, right, we're only as good as how well our last book did. So please go and support us. And then the other question is, how much do authors make? Well, so much of our income right now is it's, you know, from various different sources. And one of the interesting things I think that Stacy was saying is that you could get a lot of money through school visits as well. And this is something that she's done a lot of. I haven't done it so much, but, you know, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I lost a lot of money from school visits thanks to the pandemic. Like all other authors, that's why we're all just kind of living on book sales right now. But that is a big part. I think I would have had 50 school visits this year, most of them paid for. So that is a big part. And it's fun connecting with readers because, like, I'm assuming right now I'm not talking to many of my readers. We're talking to writers and parents and librarians. So being in front of kids in school is awesome because that's who I'm actually writing for. And I do get paid for that because I'm away from my family. I'm away from writing. So it is a big source of income as the career gets going, for sure. Yeah. I like to tell people in general, like, we don't tell what our advances are. You can get a general idea if you follow PW because they rank advances like up to $50,000, up to $100,000, you know, mid 6 figures, all that stuff. But we earn 10% on hardcover. We're getting 10% of this. So if you're buying it at $18.99, we're getting about $1.90. On picture books that are going about the same price point, I'm getting half of that because I'm sharing it with the illustrator. So I could be getting 90 cents on these books that you're spending a lot of money on. And I've got to pay back the advance first. So that money goes to the advance first. And then I might finally get those royalty checks that are
Right.
almost mythical, like the
Yeah.
martini lunches.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, so I always tell kids, like, on a paperback, like, how much do we get? Like 50 cents a paperback or something?
It's yeah, what is it, 6% on a paperback?
Yeah, I think it's like 6% of $4. Mine is like $4
The
for,
Scholastic ones are,
yeah.
yeah, even less.
Yeah. So we have to sell a lot of books, you guys, in order to afford some, like, eggs.
In order to
Especially
afford
in this
toilet paper,
climate.
we need to sell books.
Yeah. But the great thing is that we have a whole team, we have agents, we have editors, and we really do feel like we are part of a family. And, you know, we don't do it for the money. I mean, like, you know, the money it can be up and down depending on the season.
My
depending
mom
on the
just
climate.
joined. Sorry. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Stacy's mom. So we, you know, we do it because we love writing. I think that's the one thing is, like, if you're in this for the money, it's not going to work.
No.
It's not gonna work out because the money is so volatile. It's like up and down. You never know. You're not sure. You could write a fabulous book and then the pandemic hits.
Right. And I'm
Right.
looking at friends now that have come out, books just come out in the last 2 months and like 5 stars. And they're just not selling because people don't know about it. We know about stars because we're in the industry. We follow the Kirkus and the PW.
Stars are really hard, really hard to get.
They're so hard to get, and we appreciate when we see people, but not every teacher and librarian, and certainly parents, aren't going to know about them, and we can't go to bookstores. And so these books that are beautiful, awesome books are just sitting in warehouses, I guess. I don't even know where the books are.
Yeah, but they might find their audience. I mean, that's
yes,
the
hopefully
thing,
when this is over,
it's a marathon. It's a marathon, you guys, not a sprint. It took Front Desk a year to really break through, I think. And it's because, you know, people really, the story resonated with so many people organically. And then it's sort of
kids loved it and then kept telling other kids. And
same thing with Lightning Girl, right? It took some time for people to find out about it. Although I was
and that's the best thing about Kids Lit is we're not like the adult world where you have to come out the day, you know, that week and hit New York Times bestseller. They say we have legs. The book can build over time. They will keep it in print longer. Teachers will use it, you know, if they love it, they'll use it every year as their read aloud for October or whatever. So we can have legs. So we don't have that pressure, but it is still, I still feel bad seeing my friends that are not making the impact now that they would have minus the pandemic.
Absolutely. But, you know, hopefully we'll write more books and it will eventually find its audience. I really believe that. Thank you so much for your time.
Kelly, can I say one more thing?
Yes, go ahead.
For those writing for kids, you must join SCBWI. Oh. And when you do that, go on there. They have something called the book. You download the PDF and it's got every bit of information step by step. They list agents in there. They list publishers that don't take they take unagented submissions. That's actually where I got my agent from, was in that list. So it's going to cost you $75 a year. I think educators get a little bit of a discount, but scbwi.org. Go on, read the book cover to cover, and you will know just about as much as I know. Yeah. And you can go to the conferences. The conferences are great when we are able to do conferences again. So I want to thank you. I mean, I remember one of the things that I was always worried about when I was querying, when I was writing, and I had written, I think I wrote 3 books before Front Desk that didn't make it. One was basically Front Desk written from the perspective of the dad. And it was hysterical because I thought it was a YA. And so I started querying. People were like, we can't have a 4-year-old protagonist. It was so funny. And then I wrote a memoirs, which is also like Front Desk, but it was real. And then I wrote Front Desk. So basically, I just kept doing it in various different iterations of the story, and eventually it worked. But I remember through that process always thinking, am I good enough? You know, do I have what it takes? If I could just get some sign that that I have what it takes, you know, please, universe, give me some sign. And you know what? It just really has to do with just keep writing, keep at it, don't give up hope, and celebrate all the little signs. I mean, even if it's one agent emails you back and bothered to say no, at least they emailed you back and bothered to say no, because they don't do that for everyone, right? Yeah. So, you know, I would say even if you type the end on a manuscript, on a novel manuscript, celebrate that, man.
Celebrate that. I celebrate that. I celebrate that all the time.
So many people don't finish a book. So
Yeah.
if you get to that step, you are like ahead of 99%
Celebrate
of
it.
people.
Celebrate it, enjoy. It's a process, but it's also really fun. And if you enjoy it, you'll make it. If you enjoy it and you can get through the downs, because there are a lot of downs. We're not gonna lie, there are a lot of downs.
We mostly complain when we're
Yeah,
not.
and find yourself. Oh, this is it. Find yourself a friend. Stacy is like my best friend in the writer world. Okay, she's one of my best friends in general, but she's like my best buddy in the writer world. She's my work wife. I call her.
Definitely. We're always back and forth.
You and I like text like nonstop all the time. We really should stop so we should get some more work done. But
yeah, we should set timers at the very least.
Yeah. But you know, finding someone to go through all this with is so instrumental because it can be really lonely and hard. You know, and if you find someone that, you know, is going to be able to celebrate with you, you know, and it's not a competitive thing. Like we're not like a competitive thing, even though we're both we're both middle grade authors, but we love each other and support each other so much that it just makes
There's
it so
definitely a lot of room here. There's a lot of room.
There's a lot of room. Yeah, there's a lot of room. Absolutely. And I love it when authors support each other, which is the whole point of the show. And so a reminder that we're moving to Wednesdays at 8 p.m. I'm going to have an author on the show every single class so that you can have lots of different perspectives. And I want to thank Stacy once again for coming over and, you know, sharing all her knowledge and wisdom. She really is a pro. And basically,
thanks for having me. I'm glad I showered today.
Yay. And please support our books and support your local indie bookstores because we're all struggling right now. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.